Good news.
Yes.
Again.
You have multiple good newses.
Well, the one I'm not going to announce. Don't really care about that one. But the big news, not really big news. I think I mentioned on here, who the fuck knows at this point what episode it was because of our recording schedule, but I submitted to Wicked Shadow Press's Halloween Anthology, which is a Halloween anthology that was supposed to come out. They said early October when I submitted, which was last month in September. As of now, I got accepted, and they're actually putting out 3 volumes of it. I got accepted into the All Hallows Eve, and I'm assuming that's coming out on Halloween, or, the eve of Halloween. So my story, Entered the Grifter, was accepted, and that'll be in that one. Though, the only thing I don't like is they're not on Amazon.
Oh, no?
They have Amazon links to their books, but nothing comes up when you click on them. So I think they took it off of Amazon, and it looks like they published through Lulu, which makes it more expensive. The book's like $20. And also, I get a free digital copy of the book. I do not get a print copy, so I'm going to have to spend $20 to buy my own book, which is not ideal, especially since they are not a pay market. And I think they're based in India, maybe.
Huh.
Because they have a bunch of links to books they sell in India for rupees or whatever. Like rubies, not rupees. Rupees is Zelda. Just go and bust some pots and I can buy the book. So that's exciting. That was one that I had a story that it was on my website for a while actually, but I reworked it, made it better, and then I submitted to them on like the last possible day, and I was just like, yeah, see what happens, and I accepted. So that's a good one. And then I got accepted elsewhere for something, but I can't announce that yet. And I think that's it. When's this episode? You know what? Let me check when this episode comes out. What is the date, Spencer? I'm not actually asking us rhetorical question.
October something.
Shut up. Today is the 12th as of the recording of this, so this episode will drop on the 15th, so that's too early to announce books coming out, but in the following weeks after next week, or the week this episode drops, Siren's Call should be out. I would imagine I would think the week of the 21st. It's not the last week of the month, but I would think that week. And then the fuck is Beautiful Darkness, Volume 3 that I'm in, that I think comes out, I think they moved it to the 30th. I'm pretty sure it was initially the 20th, but now it's the 30th. So I'm not going to have probably any of my books before Halloween, my print books, but at least I will get them at some point.
They would be available.
Yeah. Though it does kind of suck that they all come out at the same time, because how do I do promos for that? Like, I mean, I could do promos today, tomorrow, the next day, but it's just like, which one do you focus on, I'm going to focus on the one that paid me and, the big one, but the other two are nothing to sniff at.
No.
I guess the Siren's Call I don't really care about because it's a flash fiction, but, I was already in that before.
Right.
But it's a Halloween edition. I'm sure they get a lot of readers for that one, so it's a big deal.
Yep.
We're going to be big shots.
Hurrah.
I hope we're number 1 in there.
You mean, like, what do you mean, like first story? Or?
Yeah. And just overall number 1. They put a big number 1 next to our stories. But we can't both be number 1, so I'm number 1. You're number 6.
Yeah, that's okay.
The Siren's Call, I think, goes alphabetically, though, so I'm assuming, which would not be good for us. Should change our name to Andy with 2 A's, or I guess Aaron. Just be Aaron. Aaron Andrews.
A.A. Ron?
A.A. Ron Andrews. Is that all we got? You know what? You don't have any news?
No, I don't think so.
I have some writing related stuff, but we could talk off air about that because I haven't actually started any projects. So my allergies are bothering me. I don't know why, and I've been feeling off, like rough, like my body hurts. I think I might either have Lyme disease or some kind of super AIDS. I don't know.
Well, that's what you get for frolicking with all those deers and wrestling with them in the yard,
kissing them,
tongue
kiss them. So stick around. We have a fun episode for you. Initially, this was supposed to be our coverage of Basket Full of Heads, which we did record that episode, but it's fucking terrible.
We did not do a good job, unfortunately.
No, so we're going to go ahead and make that a bonus episode. If I even decide to drop it, I have to go listen to it and see how terrible it is. But we have a much more entertaining book we covered. So we covered The Boy at number 9, Whitlock by L. Stephenson.
I feel so bad because that is a good book. The Basket Full of Heads.
We just did not do it justice now. It's because we didn't reread it.
Yeah, it's
we read it like 3 years ago, and then we're just like, okay, let's cover this and read a synopsis.
Yeah.
Synopsises were terrible.
It was our fault.
Is it synopsises or synopsi?
I don't know.
Anyway, we'll be back in a moment. You are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb James. With me today, Spencer, the Whitlock Willie Walloper Church. You're walloping them.
Yeah.
Wallop. With like a hammer? Like I would imagine a big rubber mallet.
So yeah.
Oversized.
Right, yeah. Something, and then something that has a bit of a handle so I can do it from, I don't have to be right up there.
Like a Looney Tunes fucking
Kinda,
mallet.
yeah.
Or one of those ones where in the cartoons they used to hit the big thing at the carnival to make it go ding, but they never could get it.
Right.
And then when they do, some calamity happens. Today we are discussing The Boy at Number 9 Whitlock by L. Stephenson. We both got sent some fancy copies. We got different covers, so if you look on... most people, I think, find us on YouTube or Instagram. So on YouTube, it'll be the picture, be the cover picture. I don't know if I'll have both up because I took a picture like real shittily on my phone when I first got them.
Yeah.
I should probably do something a little better. But anyway, it's a very interesting cover. Mine's black and white. Yours is white and black.
Yes.
Hey,
yes.
That's it sounds dumb when I say it out loud, but it is a difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference. So The Boy at Number 9 Whitlock. At first, it was bad parents, bullies, and budding romances. So normal kid stuff. This is set in 96. But the tragic life of young Matthew Rose is about to get much worse. What's worse than adolescence, Spencer? You want to know what's worse?
Tell me.
The boy who lives at Number 9 Whitlock is about to meet a demon.
Ooh.
That makes it worse.
Demon's bad. Bad demons.
Usually, it depends what kind of demon. I feel like the gambling demons aren't so bad. Like the blackjack demons. I mean, they're bad, but they're not as bad as like the one in this is fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Because the one in this seems like a good guy for a minute.
Takes a lot of liberties, too.
Yeah, he's a fucking dick. It's like some monkey's paw bullshit. And it was like, hey, I'll do you a solid, but then it's always bad.
Yeah.
Of course it's bad because it's a demon. Don't trust a demon.
That is kind of, it falls on the main character's shoulders there.
Yeah, a little bit. You should have known what you were getting into. Though his mind was, we'll get into it. For those who are unaware, L. Stephenson is a gay horror author with a degree in film and TV screenwriting. I want to know what his TV screenwriting credits, if you got any yet. I haven't asked him about that.
Yeah.
His short stories have appeared in anthologies for Dark Ink Books and Cab Publishing, as well as issues of the Siren's Call e-zine. Hey, that's what we're talking about.
Cool.
He was in the first one I was in.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I don't know if it was him or one of the other guys in the horror group I'm in. That's how I found out about Siren's Call. I didn't even know about Siren's Call until they were posting about submitting to it. His first novella, The Goners, was published in 2021, and his debut novel, The Boatmore Butcher, will be released in the fall of 2023. So he needs to update his bio because he was promoting that last year and it looked really cool. And I was actually going to get it. I just didn't get around to. But I want to check that. But I wanted to do, A.D. Jones. He has 2 novels out I haven't read yet.
True.
It's like, the problem was I met all these fine folks. And by the time I got to know them and got interested in their writing, they already have some books out.
Right.
Like,
Now you got to play catch up.
Well, I mean, I could just buy them and read them and just, move them ahead on my reading list. But I keep reading fucking long, stupid books and Mary Shelley and just dumb shit I don't need to be reading. I just read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest for no reason.
Yeah.
I read it in 3 days. Very good. But no reason to read that other than it's been in my pile for like a while.
Not even a year, though. That's pretty good.
It wasn't in my pile for a year?
No, okay. Well, how long has it been since you and Bryce went?
Is that where I got it, in Columbus?
I thought that's where you got it from.
My life is a whirlwind of nonsense. Sorry, I was just thrown off because I don't know. Oh, this is... Amazon India came up when I looked the book up, and it is 109, I'm assuming rubies, or whatever it is their money is, which is like, isn't that like $3?
I don't know.
That's the Kindle edition. I think it is. It's like their money's, is it actual rubies? I feel like that'd be cool if you just get paid in rubies.
I don't believe so. I can't.
No, I don't believe it is either. All right, so I would like to read a few paragraphs from the opening of this just to give you a feel here. For those unfamiliar with L. Stephenson's writing style, I'm going to get more into that as well because I did find some parallels from this book, at least, his writing style in this, to one of your favorites, Stephen King. So we could discuss that in a little bit. So chapter 1 opens with a nightmare, a terrible nightmare, a gruesome nightmare that if I had it, I would probably wake up pissing my pants. Jillian Rose was dead. Dead even before her body swam with flame inside her vehicle. The steering wheel kissed her face on impact, firing her nose cartilage like an arrow through her brain. Goddamn, that sucks. That's not a good way to go. The car roof peeled away as if carved open by an invisible blade. Black smoke rolled up into the sky, carrying the woman's burning corpse along with it. Its misty claws held her arms outstretched, her liquefying flesh plunging to the street below in sticky ribbons. The dark cloud poisoned every living thing it touched as it ferried her bones over trees, buildings, and power lines. The oozing globes that shriveled and shrank inside her blackened eye sockets sizzled with white fire as they madly searched rooftop after rooftop. So, very Clive Barker-esque, very graphic.
Yeah.
The descriptions throughout this book are pretty graphic, though I feel like he really kicked it up a notch in this opening. The book settles. We open up with three friends. Young Matthew Rose, like I said earlier, set in 1996, I believe. Young Matthew Rose, his friend Ricky, and his friend Heather. And as you so astutely reminded me, there's a little bit of a love triangle.
Yes.
It opens up with some sun tanning.
Yep. The old, I need some sun lotion on my back. Which one of you boys want to put it there?
I really enjoyed the scene there where Heather asked them to put suntan lotion on, and the boys are like fighting over it. Like, oh, I want to do it. Matthew, who really likes her, is skittish, and they're young boys, young teens or preteens, and Ricky ends up, because he's a little more outgoing, he goes for it, but then the awkwardness ensues of he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Right. And he just like squirts it all over, and then
so much
he can't get it to rub in, and it's just like he's rubbing forever.
Yeah, because I think he even says like by the time it was all gone, she had fallen asleep.
Yeah,
that's how long it took.
So I think he did a really good job of establishing the awkward adolescence, because one problem I do have with a lot of books like this that deal with kids, and I've mentioned it, I think I even mentioned a little bit when we did Born of Bloodshed, was that sometimes the characters seem a little older than they are. I felt that he did a really good job of showing their age.
Yeah,
like no, they're this old, they're still kids, and it's not like, oh, even though they're dealing with adult subjects or honestly things that even adults shouldn't have to deal with, demons, abusive parents, things like that, they still act and respond like kids would, and their motivations are still what kids' motivations would be. They're not adult motivations. So I did appreciate that he was able to establish that in the beginning and keep it consistent throughout. Now, at some point, because I don't want to give away the whole plot here because this book just came out like
a month ago,
not even a month ago, a couple weeks ago. I'm going to try to give some key moments without spoiling too much. We come across some bullies in this book that are goddamn assholes.
Yeah, terrible people.
This had a scene right from Jump Street that pissed me off so bad that I forgot I was reading a fictitious novel.
Yeah.
Like, I forgot that I was reading a story for a moment. And that's when the bullies, Stimes and what'd you say? Wayne. Stimes and Wayne. Little fucking asshole names for little fucking asshole kids. And they're a little older, I think. I think they're a grade or two above the other kids that of course they bully. But it opens with them fucking torturing like a hedgehog baby,
right?
Like a little hedgehog, and I think that fucking kid has a pipe and like hits it like a baseball.
Yeah. I feel like it seemed like it was mostly Stimes and Wayne was like kind of like not caught up in it, but like he obviously
Wayne went along. He's a lackey.
Yeah.
You think of A Christmas Story, you got the big redhead fuckhead, but then you got the little short guy that's with him. Right. That's just like, come on. Yeah. He's always doing his bidding, but he wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't for Stimes.
Probably, yeah.
Like that's what it is like the Stimes is the leading asshole and the other kid just goes along. And there's also a bit that I found very interesting that I've not come across is they turn out to be gay, gay kissing, the gay with each other. The tongue kissing and the lip smacking and very aggressive. And as you said off air, which I didn't really think about, it's almost as if Wayne might not even be gay. He's just like getting ditty. Yes, that's what you said. Like the Stimes is so overbearing that he just the other kid's going along with it.
Yeah.
But luckily there's an elderly neighbor who breaks them up so they don't actually kill the little baby hedgehog, but they fuck it up and it's bleeding. I'm just like, God damn it.
Because like even Stimes, like the hedgehog didn't cry.
Yeah, that's what upset him. It didn't scream or make a noise really.
So that's why he was like, that's why he didn't even bother fucking killing it because it wasn't making any noise. He was gonna have Wayne do it, and that's when the
and it showed Wayne was like hesitant, and he was like, oh, I don't want to do this, and he's like closing his eyes and preparing to step on it, and you're like, oh, see, so Wayne isn't the one leading the show. He's just going along with it, but
Still an asshole nonetheless.
Yeah, but this is some foreshadowing when we meet the demon. The demon does some things to these bullies that is much deserved, and it deals with what is it, like hundreds of baby hedgehog? I can't give it away, but it's gross.
Oh, it's
very yucky. That's the word, yucky. So these two boys, if they were just in a normal relationship and not torturing animals, it might be endearing, but they get their rocks off together by torturing things, and that makes Stimes all horny, and poor Wayne's got to be the recipient of the, whether it's wanted or unwanted, he's there. He's not stopping.
No.
All we get is like kissing and stuff. We don't
like
get
like neck kissing and stuff.
Some groping but we don't get anything deeper, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I don't want a fucking It situation where all of a sudden there's a kid orgy coming up. Like, I would have been a little annoyed with that. I don't like when some authors decide, and you actually find this a lot with female authors who write YA, so much sex with teenagers.
Yeah.
It's like, let's write about teenagers having sex. And it might not be graphic because it's YA, but it's just like, why are you thinking about teenagers, like 15, 16-year-olds doing it? That always disturbed me. I don't know. It's like 50-year-old women thinking about teenagers banging. And you see that on like the CW shows.
Well, could you imagine if it was the other way, if it was male authors doing that?
Yeah, just some fucking
They get thrown in jail.
Fucking gives me the ick. So anyway, of course, Stimes and young Wayne, little Wayne,
pick on...
They're not satisfied with just picking on hedgehogs.
No.
But the psychopathic tendency shows because Stimes is upset that the thing didn't scream. And that carries on through other things. Like, he wants to see things suffer.
Yeah.
And he wants to hear him cry, and he wants agony. And I don't think it actually goes into why he's like that.
No.
He's just a fucking asshole.
He's just a bully.
So you don't know if he has some history with his family or something. I don't think that actually comes up. But they don't just bully the trio of friends. They like fuck them up. Like, especially Matthew.
Well, Matthew gets it the worst. He gets multiple head injuries.
Like, bad ones.
Yeah.
That's one thing I will say was, I don't want to say unrealistic, but that threw me off a couple times in this book was Matthew's dad, Gordon, is a big piece of shit. And whether he's having some kind of, well, no, I think it was, it's not even alluded to. It's described that he was a piece of shit even before the mother died.
Yeah.
He's a drunk. And he just fools on, like, adult man, full force punches Matthew in the face and shit, like multiple times in this book. And the kid gets the shit beat out of him. He gets hit in the head with a fucking pipe. He falls off like a swing. He gets hit in the head with a rock and falls off like a giant swing on his neck. I don't know. Like, dude should be fucking dead.
Well, that's what at first I was thinking. Well, maybe like that the demons is just his fucking coma. Like, it's just his concussions. Like, because I was kind of waiting for that. Like, oh, like this is not actually demon.
I mean, the book starts off with a nightmare. So for a moment, I was thinking maybe this is all just like a nightmare. And then when all the head stuff happened, I was like, maybe he's in a coma, and that's what this is gonna end.
Well, just even like what I was thinking is like whenever the bad shit happens, like that he just can't remember doing. Like, he's the one actually doing it, but like he can't remember anything because he's the one. He's his head so fucked up. But they don't do that in this one, which is probably good, But.
Yeah, but he just gets the ever-loving shit beat out of. Like, the kid's life is so miserable.
Well, and like I think that's one of the reasons why it's probably set in the 90s, because like that was like the mid 90s were probably like the last time that dad could have got away with that. Because like, could you imagine if he was, because like they were talking about like he had black eyes, his fucking face is all swollen up,
and
like,
he had to see a counselor. Yeah, who's a big part of the book in the latter half, and like the counselor, like, you want to tell me anything? Yeah. But then it's just like you don't follow up. Kid comes in all fucking
mollywopped, like
his head's all fucking lumped up, and you're just like, I fell down some stairs. I hit a doorknob. Like, no, you got beat up.
Yeah.
Whether it's by bullies or worse, you're getting abused in some way, and you need to come forward. But he did a good job of showing how kids in those situations don't want to come forward. We do get some endearing scenes where Matthew's older brother Eric comes into the picture. He's in college, and weird sidebar, I just watched a documentary the other day about the Menendez brothers.
Okay.
They murdered their parents, and then like they said they were getting molested and raped and all this horrible shit for their whole lives and everything. So you actually like feel for the Menendez brothers. But one of the things about them was because of the abuse, like the older brother, he wanted to protect the younger brother, but when he was confronted with his father again, it was like even though he was an adult now, he still reverted back to like that. It's like they can't grow. Well, that's kind of what happens to the Eric character here. Is you think, oh, he's normal. It's like maybe he didn't. At first, you don't even think he got like hit or abused, or like he knows the dad's an asshole and treats.
Well, also too, you don't know. Like you just know that his mother has died. You're not quite sure how long ago.
Yeah.
So like it could have been like he could have been at college already, and then the mother was still alive. Like you know what I mean, and her just died recently. Like they really don't go into that much detail.
But then when Eric comes back, like he takes Matthew out, even though Matthew's all beat up and shit. This is I can't even remember which part of him getting beat up. It was like an 80, 90 page book.
Yeah.
But he's beat up so much.
I think this is from when they were on the swing.
So he was in the hospital and shit. And I think, did he have a broken arm or something? Or no, again, he had a head injury.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Eric takes him out to the movies and all this shit. And then we get a brief scene when Eric was visiting Matthew in the hospital, the dad coming in and being a big overbearing piece of shit, and grabs his crotch and like looks at the Eric, and then you're like, oh no. And then you finally, it's never explicitly stated, but basically it's alluded to Eric was sexually assaulted by the father. I don't think that...
And pretty much told Matthew, like...
If he goes to do anything like that.
If he goes anything besides, like, past beating you, kill him.
Yeah. So you didn't actually get any of that stuff with Matthew, but the older brother, again, alluded to that happened to him. And then obviously that opens up some wounds. I won't get into it, but that's when everything really ramps up in this book. Matthew goes into a fucking full-on tailspin to the point where the dad's beating the shit out of him like a grown man in front of his friends. And they're just like, what the fuck? And all the while, there's like little moments thrown in where they're just normal kids.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's go have fun and do this. But then something awful happens, like the swing incident where the fucking bullies beat him up. But then we get Heather really likes Matthew. Matthew likes Heather, but then Ricky likes Matthew.
Yes.
Is what we find out. Ricky's not interested in Heather. He likes Matthew.
And he was more or less kind of running interference.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want Matthew and Heather
together.
Yeah.
But then you could tell Matthew's kind of confused, and you never really, at least I didn't, wasn't able to establish if Matthew also liked Ricky,
right,
more than just a friend, or if he wasn't sure yet, or because I mean, it's a whirlwind of fucking chaos at his house, and
like in the young, because like I don't think they might be like freshmen, I think, in high school, maybe.
Yeah, like I think they're I think. So what, 13, 14, something like that. So like their relationship kind of unfolds in a strange way. And then
because you're like you said, it's in the mid 90s, so you always have to you have to take that in consideration too, because well,
even at the beginning when Steins was kissing Wayne, and then that's kind of what started the bullying, because like the kids were driving by or riding by on their bikes. They're like, did they see us?
Right.
Because they were just kissing in the alley after beating up the head or torturing the hedgehog. You did get that. Oh yeah, in the 90s, like just being openly gay still wasn't a thing you could just do as a kid.
Like if something if that happened now, like if you had a friend and and he came out like that, and you know what I mean, it'd be more of this oh, we're not, I appreciate that, but that's you know what I mean, and you know what I mean, it wouldn't have been that big of an issue really.
But back then, the kid comes out
because I think Heather even knows, right? Or I think she pretty much I don't know if anybody ever told I don't know if Ricky told her, but I think she knows.
Yeah. But anyway, also what Stephenson does really good in this is making the father not just an abusive piece of shit, but a monster. Every time he's around, it's this atmosphere completely changes in the story.
The mood changes.
Everything is just heavy, and there's this tension, and this is where I wanted to get into some of the Stephen King parallels, because the way he develops the characters, and especially the villains, very Stephen King-esque, at least in this story.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned Clive Barker with the details of the gore and stuff, because Stephen King generally doesn't go into that stuff as much.
But he makes you if you're supposed to hate a character, you fucking hate that character.
And that's exactly what he was able to do with this story. And I found he was able to elicit the emotions from the reader, at least for me, the way he intended. So if you're supposed to hate a character, you hate him. If you're supposed to feel bad for a character, if you're supposed to be oh, I understand why that character is doing this, I got all that stuff. I thought that the character development was very well done. And just the author voice coming through, I thought was very well done. Now, it's not as prominent as a Stephen King's author voice, but it's, again, he's not Stephen King. He's Al Stephenson. That his unique voice came through. And if that's that in the other work, I definitely think he stick with that.
Also, too, reading like his biography and stuff in the back, like he's not like new, but he's he hasn't been doing it for a crazy long time either. So he's still
Yeah, but I feel like like what
still getting his author voice.
Yeah, but what he did with this, like on the right track, definitely.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Like I said, I didn't read the Boatmore Butcher, but if that's on, because some like authors, they will hit it with one work. But then, like something else, I'm gonna write this in a completely different. I mean, I even do that,
right?
But it's like even if they're both good stories, your author voice has changed for that other story, and now people, if they read both works, it doesn't seem like it's written by the same person. That's just like a tricky thing that's hard to come across. But like I said, not having read his other stuff other than some short stories, if he can stick with like this kind of stuff. Not necessarily the same story, but just that author voice. Keep building on that.
Do you know if if that other stuff is that like longer work or still like novella, like
what, the short stories or
like just like I can't remember like that, like the Butcher, did it say like that's
a novel?
That's a novel. Like,
yeah,
because that's another thing. Like I'd be interested to see
it's a novel, and I think another novella that's probably like this length.
Because I'd be interested to see like what his like style in a bigger we talk about like depending on how big a story is, also depends on how you tell it and what you do and stuff like that. So
that's actually going to go into the complaint portion of this episode, but that'll be near the end. As these stories unfold with demons, he used an element that I hate.
Oh yeah.
But he was able to do it in a way that not only did I forgive it, I actually liked it. And that's the Ouija board.
Right.
Like the kids brought out the fucking Ouija board and...
Yeah, Heather Zan had a...
Yeah, and they had their little seance and things go awry.
There was some book too that they read.
Yeah, that normal horse shit where it's like, here's a contrivance to get the fucking demon out. I don't know if it's just because we're Americans and we have...
Because like if the story just wasn't horrific enough with like the abusive dad and the bullies, like...
I don't know if it's the same over in like the UK, but in the United States, I mean, it has to be because like fucking Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was into this shit, and cranks. In the United States, we have a history going back to like the 1850s or so of fucking cranks, the mediums, like ripping people off saying they could talk to people, their loved ones, and even now it still goes on with the fucking
Long Island Medium and.
What the fuck was the douche of the millennia or whatever, John Edwards?
Oh, yeah.
Just that fucking shit. So when like even things with Ouija boards, like it always, I don't know why, it's just like it was always a thing that bugged me. But the Ouija board is not that prominent in here. They have it, and the demon comes in a really cool way where like Matthew's like astro projecting kind of. So it's like he can see, which the awesome callback to the end of this book,
I thought he was just having a fucking seizure from all his head injuries.
But I will give this a little spoiler. So the scene where like he sees the demon outside, so he's like having a vision kind of while they're doing this. They're in like a bedroom, and you get this fucking demon, and it's like coming closer to the house, and then he sees it in the house, and then they start hearing shit, and they're like, "Oh shit, is there actually a demon?" Because they're just thinking like he's talking, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? I think his eyes roll back white and everything. And then like the demon's at the door and they're like, oh fuck. And like he starts describing like the demon and it's like all this big fucking horrible monster and all this shit. But then the door opens and they're like, oh shit. And it's like this big fucking climax right here. And it's the dad.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, the fucking horrible monster is actually the dad. And so at that point, you don't even think, oh, there's no demon. It was just the fucking dad. Like the way he described that. Like I was blown away from that. I really enjoyed that. But then there is a demon.
Yeah.
And the demon does some vengeance stuff. Like I said, monkey's paw style, where it's like, don't worry, I'll take care of your father. And,
no strings attached.
Because, you're abused and we have to have balance. We can't have this happen. You don't even know it's a demon at first. His appearance is different. But then a series of very, very gruesome deaths occur. And
some deserving, some not just deserving.
As was with the monkey's paw, you eventually get to like, okay, maybe this stuff was supposed, that's fine, but then you get the innocence.
Right.
Always the innocence. And then even so, like, yes, the bullies are huge hunks of shit. Do they deserve to die the most gruesome death known to man? Maybe not.
Yeah. They're still just children.
Yeah, as far as we know, they haven't murdered anyone, and they are children. And like I said earlier, you don't know why they're doing that necessarily. Are they just psychopaths, or are they abused as well? You don't know, but it doesn't matter because holy fuck. So I can't give away the ending, but I will say there's a little bit of a callback to the demon scene initially, and I was actually a little surprised at the ending because I thought I saw it coming. and then he wrote it in such a way where I was thrown off. And then when it came back, I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, okay. So I really liked that. I thought it was a solid ending, at least for me. It nailed it. Complaints. My main complaint of this was with the length. This would probably need to be a novel to really be fully fleshed out with because like we were talking about the head injuries, and then all of a sudden they're doing this, and then another fucking
and when like you were saying the bullies and stuff, you could get into that their background.
Just the short page count. Wow, it was a fun read, and the pace was like it starts kind of a slow burn, but then because of only being 80 or 90 pages. It's like he had to really speed up everything.
Well, then you figure you gotta take some pages out of that too because there's art in it too.
Yeah.
So you gotta take some of those pages out. So it's probably actually closer to like 80 pages.
The actual story ends at 90 pages, but like I would say a 12 or 14 font. And this isn't like a huge book, so yeah, we'll just say like a solid 90 pages.
Yeah.
Though I think, well, like you said, yeah, maybe 80 because there's art actually throughout. I was thinking at the end because there's illustrations, but no, there's a whole pages of art just in here. So yeah, we'll say 80, 85 pages. But I did feel that this would have benefited from being longer, just to be able to maybe flesh out some of the stuff. I would have liked the bullies fleshed out, what their actual motives are, other than they snitched on us, so let's beat them half to death. Like it's a little harsh. I would like to know why
Doyle's rule.
I would like to know why the father was such a fucking ass.
Piece of shit.
It's like okay, making him a drunk. Okay. He's a drunk, but that doesn't mean...
well, why is he a drunk?
Yeah, why is he beating the shit out of his kid just for, like, doing absolutely nothing wrong? And then you, like, maybe it has something to do with the wife's death, but then you find out he's a piece of shit before that. So then why was she even with him and had kids? Like, these are things that would be fleshed out in a novel.
Right.
You'd get backstory. You'd get some, maybe some more resolution, because in this... the resolution is just, he dies, somebody dies a horrible fucking death. That's the end of them. Oh, this happens to the bullies. There's your resolution. But it's like, well, yeah, but that doesn't really leave you with a feeling of like, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. It's like, oh, good. They got their comeuppance. But usually when you read a full novel, you get like something preluding the comeuppance. You get like, okay, yeah, they got this coming to them, but we really fleshed it out so they were irredeemable.
And also, I would again to go with just if it was longer, then you could also have dealt a little bit with like the aftermath of said things that happen.
Well, that's the other thing too is there's no, from what I remember, no police presence with all these gruesome deaths that occur. Is it because they happen so fast or
so fast? And I think probably with the way that the demon, when you evolve a demon, there's always some weird like maybe people aren't seeing it happen or don't like that kind of stuff.
Maybe it was all a dream. I think that was my only real complaint was just the length of it, and like I said, it didn't have a negative effect on the pacing necessarily. It's just it was faster than I would have liked it, just because of like the subject matter. I personally would like to see filled out more, but as a novella, it's still a good read.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have any complaints?
Not anything that we haven't already probably said.
Did we miss anything?
I mean, anything? I think that would be getting into like the spoiler.
Yeah, well, that's tough. I would like to go a little bit into the atmosphere. Other than when the father was around, I didn't think this was overly atmospheric. Though, I mean, that's fine, but I didn't get like a real sense of place. Like we were talking about off air, it's like, where does this actually? Well, we got Whitlock. Number 9 Whitlock is his house. Is this? We obviously got to be in the UK. Is it Scotland? Or I don't remember if it's stated so. I didn't get a sense of place though. I didn't get like, oh, this was in Nebraska. Like if you write a fucking story in the US, generally most authors have it so you get a sense of place, even if it's a short story or novella. At least I like to do that in my writing. Again, just because I read this in like a day, like an hour actually. So maybe I just overlooked it, but I don't remember getting a real sense of place. You get a sense of time, like the 96 and
like the story takes place through about a week or couple weeks, I think.
That's a tough one too, because like the kid's in the hospital and it's like how long?
Because like there's times past, but some like they do a little bit of time jumping a little bit.
Yeah, so I will say maybe that's another fault with it is obviously it like the setting didn't leave much of an impact on me if I can't fucking remember after I only read it like a week and a half ago or something. So if I can't remember, you know, and of course that could just be me too, because I'm not the best at fucking retaining information anymore. Sometimes, you know, you get demons and stuff, the setting goes, you know, the back burner. But just when the book's called The Boy at Number 9 Whitlock, I feel like where Whitlock is should be more of a
main, like a focus, maybe.
Yeah, but I also maybe, again, if it was a full novel that you could flesh out the setting. It's tough when you got like a word count, you know, that you're trying to hit and you want to keep it a certain length.
Well, also too, it's probably, I mean, if I'd have to guess, I'd say, you know, financially, you know, because I mean, it's probably cheaper to
put out a novella,
than a full-blown novel, probably, I would think.
I will say that I don't think the setting was something that was necessary to talk about in this, though.
No.
I mean, it just helps with the world building is all. But like, this is one of those books, like, you don't really need to even know the setting. But I do like something that has a little more atmosphere. There is some woods. There's a lot of wood stuff in here, though. Ultimately, out of 5 whiskey shots, I give it a 4 or 4.5.
I'd probably go with I'd probably go with a 4.
If it was longer, it probably would have been a little higher up. But yeah, I thought it was a solid read. I really enjoyed it. I want to read more of his stuff now. For a novella, I think that's a good indicator of writing quality, because it's hard to put out a novella. Like, people think, oh, it's shorter, it shouldn't be as bad. But like, to have a fleshed out story that almost reads like a novel but doesn't, that's under 100 pages, that's tough.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. So before we go, is there anything that you really enjoyed in the book, like that stood out to you? Any scenes or anything of note?
Anytime we got into like the horror stuff, like you know, with like the detailing and just things like that, you know, that stuff was always really good, because it'd be like, you know, they'd have like these wholesome moments with like the kids, and then it would like turn real quick to like the real gory kind of stuff and back and forth.
Well, that's like another parallel to the Stephen King style, was like, if you think of it, like, there's a lot of character development with the kids and stuff that I found was in here, where it's like, oh yeah, you get to focus on the kids and some backstory. So like you said, the horror stuff, but it's not just horror beginning to end. Yeah, there's like gore, like it opens up with the nightmare and stuff. But even that, I could see that just in a regular literary novel.
But again, you get that, and then you don't really get any more like too horror stuff until
like the demon stuff
over the halfway point.
Yeah, because up through like the bullying and stuff and the father, that just all could just read as like literary fiction almost. Where it's like, well, yeah, the kids get beat up, but that's not horror.
Yeah,
the kids getting bullied, that's not horror. But then when the demon comes into play, that's when you get the shift. I don't think it was an abrupt shift, but again, if this was longer, you would be able to stretch that out a little more, so it doesn't feel like the book is separated in 2 halves, non-horror and horror.
Yeah, you
can play with that a little more, and also like you could dabble and have like the demon instances of the demon like spotting here and there, like, oh, is that a demon? Oh, I saw it. Nope, I didn't see it. Like, it doesn't have to be just, oh, the demon's here now, and now all this bad stuff's happened. Like, you could have things slowly occur,
teased a little bit more,
instead of like the father just get fucking annihilated in one way or the other. You can have like, you know, maybe the father wakes up and his fucking all his teeth fell out or something. Like, what the fuck? You know, you could do little weird things that build up and build up and build up. But as a novella goes, it's kind of hard to do that. So, again, solid read.
Yep.
I really enjoyed it. I don't remember. I could have sworn I seen this in one of the promos thing, that this was like categorized as LGBTQ horror.
Yeah.
I could see that because, you know, it's got gay characters and they're doing some mouth kissing. But I don't really know what constitutes LGBT horror other than just characters being gay. But I've read characters that are gay and categorized. I don't know. That's tricky. Basically, if I think of like LGBTQ horror, I would think that's like the big focus. You know, like maybe that's what's driving the horror. But I have not really, at least purposely sought out that stuff and read it. I can't say, you know, what that stuff's like. But if that's what this is considered, then I would read more of that genre as well.
Yeah.
So L. Stephenson, thank you for sending us this book, and I really enjoyed it. Next week, well, I guess maybe on Friday we'll have the basket full of head shit episode. Like I said, I gotta listen to it and see if it sucks or not, but that's a bonus episode if it does come out. Next week we will be talking about, what did we talk about a month and a half ago? Shirley Jackson's our book of the month. We have always lived in the lighthouse. I feel like that was
castle.
We have always lived in the castle. What is a lighthouse? Because I read Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse last month. That's why. Right before I read that book. I'd rather read about a lighthouse than a castle. Shut up. They never get to the lighthouse in that book, I don't think. It ends with them going to the lighthouse, but I don't think they ever actually get there. Nobody's reading that book. It's one of those books everyone says they read, but they never actually read. I read it. So yeah, stick around for that episode, or keep your eye out for that, or ear out, or something. That one I think is one of our top ones. I thought a Raven one was really good too. I really enjoyed that one. Then after that, we're gonna do a Halloween Spooktacular. So Spencer's gonna read all of his horror works back to back to back to back
in backwards.
The horror books back,
like I'm gonna read them in reverse, like that. Like
why? But why? Are you going to also read the words in reverse?
Yeah.
Let me do that with this real quick. Let me read the opening of this book real quick and backwards. Oh, that's hard. Them between lay who girl the for something felt other the that knew each they instant that in. Glance awkward and exchange they. Oh, let me do one of the gore scenes like that. I read that a lot easier than I thought I was going to. So here's the opening I read. Brain her through arrow and like cartilage nose her firing. Impact on face her kissed wheel steering the. Vehicle her inside flame with swam body her before even dead. Dead was Rose Jillian.
That wasn't bad.
If you want to follow us on the social medias, Instagram, X, Facebook, and YouTube at DPW Podcast. Spencer's OnlyFans this week is the Whitlock Willie Walloper Church. Walloping them with a big hammer. A mallet, not a hammer. And you could check my stuff out at calebjamesk.com, where I am publishing things probably. I do have a lot of news that's going to be on there soon, and links to buy stuff or check out stuff that's for free, like Siren's Call I could read for free. Is that it?
I think so.
All right. Well, we will check you out next week and enjoy your time away from us.